And we are live. Hello, everybody. If you are here with us, welcome to the latest super secret hangout. The hangouts that appear unannounced and then disappear when they're gone because we're just here to talk and kind of shoot the crap and see how everyone's doing. Today, I am joined by my friend Bridget Pfister, Sister Pfister. How are you doing, Bridget?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Well, I will tell you, I'm not as good as I was yesterday because so yesterday I decided I'm just going to settle in for this whole quarantine thing and I ordered like a crate of wine. Just I'm like ready to go to town. I got this whole crate of wine and I've discovered that I'm allergic to wine. Can you believe that? I didn't even know that was a thing.
How does that? How?
I don't know.
How did you discover this?
Well, I've been drinking wine like a lot lately, and I keep breaking out into hives and rashes and stuff. And I started to notice that it's correlating with every time I drink wine, I'm getting rashes the next day. And so now I have all of this wine. Like,
is it like a particular kind of wine?
I don't know. So I drink. I'm kind of a wuss. I drink white wine.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, so I'm not really sure. I'm trying to figure out. It might be. I've been hearing like sulfites.
Yeah, probably
a couple other things. So I don't know. It's a bummer though. I have like all this wine. So, but I mean, the only bad thing is I just get bumps. So like,
yeah,
having a good time and dealing with bumps the next day. That's not too bad.
Yeah, well, there's some wines that are more have more sulfites than others.
Yeah.
So you could look into that. In the meantime, like what you've bought, you could give it as gifts or resell it or something and get a different kind.
Maybe. I don't know. I'm probably just gonna drink it and come out of quarantine looking like I spent it in poison ivy.
Hey, gotta do what you gotta do.
Let's check out the chats here. Hello, everybody. We've got KH here. Thank you for coming on. Mabbity Babbity. Rosy Cheeks. Oh, dear. I agree. Kevin Anthony agrees that it's sulfites.
Mm-hmm.
We've got Moulin Rouge. And we have IQ, Inquisitive Quandary. I think I met you over on Neil's stream the other night, right? You were his chat pimp. It was pimping out my channel while we were live streaming, right? That was cool. Thank you for doing that and for showing up. Doki Rabbit is here. Hello. Lance is here and he suggests make your own wine.
So I started making my first batch of homemade wine when this whole thing started. So really? I'm not sure what that's going to be like. We'll see.
So how would you do it? Have you looked into it enough to give us an idea of what would be involved?
Oh, I ordered a kit from Amazon and I'm making dandelion wine. So, I got my kids into helping me pick dandelion flowers and we boiled them down and put sugar and did all this stuff and then filtered it and put the yeast in and now it's fermenting. So yeah, we'll see.
Cool. So you've already started. I'm excited to hear how it goes. I've never had dandelion wine. I didn't know you could make wine out of dandelions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we'll see. I mean, my grandmother used to make it years ago, and her aunt used to make it too. And theirs was pretty good, but I don't know if I'm as good at it. It might take me a couple batches to get it straight.
We'll see. Well, I hope it turns out well. Tony Morris is here. Morris Tony, excuse me. Happy to have you on. I hope that I hope that you're still stocked up on your whiskey. Auntie Jay's here. Hello.
Hi.
All right. So we're just going to talk a little bit. If you guys have any questions for Bridget, be sure to, or for me, or for whatever, we'll read them out. We'll talk. I wanted to see, Bridget, well, before we get there, for anyone that's not familiar with you, they're probably familiar with you from the video we did together, the listen, obey, and be blessed.
Yeah.
So she primarily does, well, at least she started off doing kingdom melody breakdowns and analyses, and that's what we did there. And now you've moved on to do other stuff. So tell us about you and your channel and what you do.
Yeah. So, well, actually, my channel started because I had a lot of things to say to my family who have been shunning me for a long time, and so I made a video just and put it out there public in case one of them would ever find it. And what ended up happening was that it got a lot of views really quickly, and people were reaching out from all over the place to tell me, like, they really related to my video and to make more. And that was really kind of my introduction to the whole YouTube thing in general, because I hadn't really gotten into it before that. And then, I made a couple of videos about different experiences, different things that had happened growing up Jehovah's Witness. And then one day I had sort of an epiphany and said, I've always thought that the Kingdom Melodies were the stupidest songs ever written. And there's so much there to make fun of, and nobody's doing it. I shouldn't do it. So I started making videos, kind of breaking down the messages in witness music, which I think are pretty insidious. And then I ended up one day somehow looking up, I think I was just curious as to how many times in Watchtower literature, they talk about sex, because I just remembered it being a whole lot. And then that resulted in, I just posted episode 15 of Sex in the Watchtower, which is by far my most popular thing on YouTube, because I just take articles that the witnesses have written over the years and about sex, and I read them and then just like talk about them like this is insane kind of stuff. So
and you've got a great character on there, the pearl clutcher.
Oh my.
Yeah. Oh, she's my favorite. So yeah.
Lots of people really like her for some reason.
Oh, she is like the quintessential elder's wife that, especially in like the Kansas-y towns. Those were the pioneers.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, definitely check out her channel. There's a link in the description. I'll go ahead and post one in the chat as well, because you should subscribe to Sister Pfister. She's one of my favorite YouTubers, and it's cool because you do. Your channel's really unique. What you do, it's not the same thing that everyone else is doing, like regurgitating the same stuff and Yours is something that you can go back to, I think, long even after you're over it, and you just want to like commiserate with somebody. Go to Sister Pfister's channel, have a good laugh, and yeah.
I like to laugh about it. That's really what's most therapeutic to me is recognizing and talking about how ridiculous it is, because it really is. I mean, some of the stuff we believed in was just, I can't even believe anymore that I believed some of that. Like,
oh yeah, and there were a few times when I was binge watching your channel, and some of the lyrics, like I still get these songs stuck in my head, and I'll go around humming them or whatever, and I don't even realize, like, you broke it all down, and I'm like, I can't believe that I'm singing about masturbation.
Right. Right. Or bees that were molested. I mean, for crying out loud.
Molested, yeah. The one with like about beating your children, corporate punishment, like wild.
Yeah. He says, "Spare the rod." No, he says, "Use the rod." That's what it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah. Brazilian Click has a question. How do you guys feel watching JW material? I'll let you answer that one. How do you feel watching it?
It kind of grows. It's really weird. It's very surreal for me because I really tried to leave in 95, but I was disfellowshipped in 97. And so it's been a really long time. And to me, it's like they've gone full cult.
Yeah.
It's so different from when I was in now. It's like I don't even recognize it. So the material that they have out now, I mean, I almost dropped my teeth when I went out looking for A Kingdom Melody for the first time and found those videos of people, the Christian rock almost videos and the
Mhm.
jazzy stuff, and what in the world are they doing? They're making movies now. Like they have
Yeah.
broadcasts. What are they like? Jim and Tammy Faye now?
Yeah.
They used to just just tear down other religions for doing exactly what they're doing now. What I was
Y-
a witness.
Yeah. The whole electric church thing, the
Yeah.
televangelism, it was all part of their religion is a snare and a racket kind of message. And, you know,
Right.
here they are doing it. I actually think that for myself, had I not discovered that stuff, because I just randomly stumbled across some movie that they made on YouTube. And I was like, what is this? They made a movie. And I
Yeah.
watched it. And it was like this whole big thing about a dad that loses his kid or whatever. And in the end, like he's resurrected in paradise or something. Um, and I cried at the end of it, and I was really mad at myself for like letting myself get emotional. I'm like, I know this is bull. Why am
Because
I?
they know how to turn. Yeah. It's
Yeah,
fun.
but that got me kind of investigating more because I was like, what else are they doing? If they're doing movies now, what else are they doing? And that's kind of, if they hadn't have done all this, I probably would have just moved on with my life and never looked back. But
Mhm.
they sparked my curiosity by kind of being hypocrites here.
Mhm.
All right. Anarchy Rules says, great to be here. It's 3 a.m., but with a glass of moonshine, what could be better?
Nice.
Nice. Wendy Glendale, waiting for the stimulus. Thank you very much for the super chat. I am also anxiously awaiting the stimulus. So let's kind of talk about that. How are you doing with quarantine? What is the situation where you are with the coronavirus and everything going on?
So I am in North Carolina and we're kind of at the beginning of this whole process. I mean, we've been sheltered in place since Monday. And um, before that, I think I've been out of work for 2 weeks,
Mm-hmm.
um, which I'm still working. Don't get me wrong. I'm still like working from home, but I'm not in the office, which is really weird. It's been an adjustment to try to homeschool two little boys who are not the least bit interested in homeschooling, like at all.
Yeah.
Um, so trying to be a teacher and keep the house from like being a total disaster, and work is crazy. And also this whole thing, and I'm sure that I'm not the only ex Jehovah's Witness who's dealing with this right now, but this whole thing is triggering.
Yeah.
This is a critical time, hard to
Hard
deal
to
with.
deal with. Unforeseen circumstances.
Yeah, right,
So
right.
how are you dealing with that? Are you having like kind of PTSD almost?
Yeah, yeah. Well, so I actually do have a PTSD diagnosis, so it's not terribly unusual. I woke up yesterday for the first time in, oh gosh, I can't even remember, decades, that I've had the auras that I talked about in my videos before. It's called scintillating scotoma. It's a form of migraine, and it only happens when I'm like severely stressed. And the thing is, like intellectually, I get that it's total crap and that everything's, this is a thing that happens. It's not the end times,
Right.
but there's that part of me that was raised in a doomsday cult that is still viscerally affected by it. And I'm trying to cut myself some slack on that, but it's not real easy.
Yeah. Yeah. I totally understand what you're saying. It's this is like unlike anything that we've ever seen before.
Right.
And you know, I remember when 9/11 happened and it felt a lot like this, but this is like 10 times as much because 9/11 was a
Yeah.
thing. I think that was the biggest thing that had happened in my lifetime.
Hmm.
And but it was a thing that happened and then it was done, kind of,
Right.
there was a war that went on afterward and all of that, but like the actual tragedy was done. And this is like, we don't know when it's fully coming, when it's ending. We don't really know anything, and that's a lot harder to deal with, I feel like.
Yeah.
Especially when you have these kind of, you were raised with these run for the hills, have your go bag ready kind of mentality.
Right. Yeah. Well, they started the go bag thing after I left. I think shortly after I left. It might have been around the Y2K thing when they started doing that. I'm not really sure. So I never really got sucked into the go bag thing, but it does feel weirdly apocalyptic right now. And I think it's because it affects everybody, and it's not like, oh, look what happened in this other place that's a couple hundred miles from me.
Yeah.
This is happening here and now. And it's scary because, I mean, people that we know are passing away from this. Like, we're losing people that we know.
Yeah.
At this point.
Yeah. It's really tragic. I keep reading stories about people that, well, my mom or dad got it, so I dropped him off at the hospital, and that's the last you see of them. Yeah. It's just, it hurts. It hurts. It's hard. So enough of that.
Yeah, like it's so depressing. Ugh.
Yeah. But you are doing something really awesome that I am sure helps you feel like you have a little bit of control over something and can help in some way and can contribute. So why don't you kind of tell us what you've been doing for your local facilities?
Yeah. So, well, with the shortage of PPE, the personal protective equipment, those N95 masks that they use to protect healthcare providers from actually getting the virus, those are supposed to be discarded after every patient. And they're having to reuse them because they don't have enough, and they're running out. And so I was looking around online, and I found where someone had an idea to make mask covers to put over those so that you could use them. You could take the cloth mask off and put a new one on over the N95 and reuse it. So I have two friends who go to the dojang with me in Taekwondo, and they're both doctors. And so I sent them messages and was like, okay, would this be something that is this a thing? Like, is this really true? Would this be helpful? And she's like, oh my God, yes. So I started playing around with prototypes, and because I had a pack of N95s in my workshop from painting and doing epoxy.
Oh, nice.
So I was able to make some masks really quick that will fit over that. And I've even got the little metal thing in the middle so it will fit around your face. So I figured out a way to make them really fast. And so I whipped up a bunch, and she picked up one big stack of them this past weekend, and I'm going to have some more ready hopefully this weekend. So she can come and pick them up from my porch.
That is really cool that you're doing that. Could you tell us like were you following a pattern or something online for how to make them? Is there a place people could go?
Yes. So there's a lot of different, there are a lot of different YouTubers who've done tutorials on it. I kind of, I joke with my husband, like every recipe, every pattern, everything that I do, I end up going off the reservation a bit. So I did modify the patterns quite a bit, but there are a number of them out there. Some of them are a little more difficult than others. And I just ended up modifying something so that it works the way I like it, because a lot of them have elastic. Of course, now there's an elastic shortage too. So you can't just go to Michael's and buy it, or Joann's or whatever. And so I started using bias binding tape, which is like they use it for piping and hems and things like that. And so I started using that to make ties instead of doing elastic. So the mask goes over your face and you tie it in the back. And that's more adjustable too. So if you get your elastic too tight or too loose, then you're kind of screwed. But if you can tie it and change it, then
Yeah, yeah.
It works better. So yeah, and the good thing about this is it's kind of ironic. My mother and my grandmother both passed away last spring. Well, my
Oh,
grandmother passed away in April, and my mother passed away in August. Um, and they both, in their heyday, were very into sewing. In fact, my mom used to make all my clothes when I was a kid, and so I inherited this gigantic stash of thread and notions and fabrics and I'm like, what am I ever going to do with this stuff? Well, now I know what to do with it.
well, that's awesome. That almost kind of makes me tear up a little bit that, your inheritance is helping so many other people right now.
Yeah, and these were people who shunned me too, so that makes it just that much better.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah.
So there's been a lot of debate about the mask recently.
Yeah.
How are you feeling about the masks for
But
personal use?
whether we should wear them or not.
Mm.
Um well, I'm kind of on the fence. We don't get out much, as you might imagine with the kids. And I think it will depend on where I'm going.
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm going to go to the pharmacy and get a prescription filled, and my hair's growing out and it's driving me crazy too, by the way, that's why I keep messing with it. Sorry. If I'm going to the pharmacy and there might be sick people around, yeah, I'll wear one.
Yeah.
But if I'm just going to, pick up some milk or whatever at Aldi, nah.
Right. Yeah. I'm feeling the same way. I honestly, I was kind of skeptical about it to begin with the way they had worded it, but now it sounds like they're starting to about face a little bit on the mask thing. I think that they were trying to make sure that the medical staff had the equipment that they needed before people started hoarding. But it does appear that it's helping in other countries to wear masks, if not necessarily. I think people might be thinking of it in the wrong way. It's not so much to keep yourself from getting sick, but the idea is that you can be contagious for up to 2 weeks before you're showing symptoms.
Right, before you even know it.
Right. So it's just better for everybody if you've got this to hold it down, and the net person across from you is doing the same thing. It can really help with slowing it down. With that said, the N95s and all of that definitely need to go to the people that are working in the healthcare.
Yeah.
But it does look like they're saying that even kind of makeshift stuff, like kind of stuff that you're talking about, is better than nothing. So if you're able to, I think, kind of find what Bridget was doing, make your own patterns. If you can make your own masks, just for like when you're going out to the grocery store, or you're going to be around a lot of people, go for it. It's better than nothing. So
I also saw a thing where somebody was using HEPA filters for their vacuum bags.
Yes, and I saw that was
the masks.
I saw that was almost as effective as the N95s. Like it was maybe a percentage lower.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how does that work? Do they pull the filter out of the bag or?
It depends. I think it depends on what kind of bags you have. We have a Miele vacuum cleaner, and those things are really expensive, and I'll just take my chances on getting an N95 or whatever. I ain't cutting those up.
It sounds like a lot of work and expensive. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, no, I'll just, well, and also I was laughing. My husband was laughing at me because I have an actual full face respirator, like gas mask, that for my workshop that I use when I'm cutting MDF on the table saw, or if I'm working with like the paint sprayer or whatever, anything like that. And so I had that on because I was cutting flooring. And he's like, well, what are you even worried about? You're all set. Like, well, I'm not going out with this giant thing on my face.
Right. It'd be pretty metal to do that, though.
It would be cool. I should take a picture. I should do that. Yeah. I should take some pictures and post them.
Yeah.
It'd be funny.
All right. I'm going to check on the chat here. We've got John Maples joined us. Hi, John Maple. Thanks for coming on. Constellation Pegasus says, I'm glad I do the Dave Ramsey stuff. Living paycheck to paycheck would be real bad right now.
Yes, it would.
Yes, it would. What's interesting though is I don't want to speak too broadly about everything, but I feel like a lot of the people that live the most paycheck to paycheck are the only ones with jobs right now. Like, the grocery store
That is
workers,
also true.
the Uber drivers and everything. They're the only ones working right now. So it's a wild world how everything's kind of turned around.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Yeah, we were kind of in a point where my partner works in concerts, and that was like one of those things that we just thought, there'll always be concerts. There's always going to be events. This is like so out of left field. Everything that is happening. Well,
Yep.
I've always worked in restaurants. There's always going to be restaurants. It's crazy. I'm lucky that I have I do my bookstore job for fun. And now it's our only source of income.
Oh, wow.
I was temporarily laid off. This is an update for all of you that have been watching, by the way. I was temporarily laid off, but as of today, we are doing enough in shipping to be able to pay for an employee. So I'm working again, limited hours, just doing shipping and stuff at the bookstore, but I'm really grateful for that. So if you have a local bookstore and you're wanting a book, see if they have a website that you can order from. They're probably still shipping. And bookstores are honestly like barely hanging on as it is. Help keep them alive. Constellation Pegasus says, remember everyone, Rutherford said COVID-19 was definitely fixed in the scriptures.
Wait, wasn't that 1919?
I think so.
Oh my goodness.
The chat is quiet. We have quite a few people watching. Well, we have 34 watching, but they're all really quiet. They're not talking amongst themselves. They're socially distancing from each other.
Oh, yeah. Well, you don't have to socially distance on the internet.
Yeah.
Like, it's totally fine to talk to each other, guys.
Yeah. What's the first thing you're going to do? Like, assume this all just ends and we can go back to our daily lives. What's the first thing you're going to do?
Oh, I don't know. Probably go to a restaurant.
Yeah.
I mean, so I have little boys, 6 and 8, and my 6-year-old today sitting at dinner, and he goes, I miss queso. What? He goes, I want to go to the place where they have the salsa and the queso and the chips. And I was like, oh, my poor baby.
Dear heart.
He's definitely my kid. I mean, I'm just
oh, yeah.
What's the first thing you're going to do?
Probably the same. Well, this really sucks because it was kind of like a snowy winter here. So I was already having cabin fever and I was like, I can't wait for summer. I'm ready to go. Like, my thing is drinking on patios. I love to drink on patios.
Oh, nice.
And that's what I would like to do. But it's feeling like this is going to go on all summer long. And I might not get my patio drinking this year.
That's a bummer. Well, I mean, could you make your own patio?
I could. We have a shared like courtyard here at the building I live in. So, we share it with other people. Do I want to risk the germs? I don't know.
Socially distant drinking on the patio?
Maybe.
Do you have like a balcony or a porch or something you could dress up and?
I wish. Oh man, I've never wanted a balcony so bad in my
maybe
life.
Open a window and like set yourself up a little like an inflatable kiddie pool and put it under the window, and like one of those blow up palm trees, and you can do something. You can make it work.
That's cool. Yeah, I might do that. Well, right now it's snowing randomly. We had a beautiful day yesterday, and now it's dumping snow on us.
Oh, that's crazy. We didn't even really have a winter in North Carolina this year. In fact, the weather was so weird that, normally I tap the maple trees here for a couple weeks in the early spring and make maple syrup, and I couldn't even do it this year because it wasn't.
So wait, you make maple syrup too? You make mass, you make wine, you make maple syrup.
I love to make things. I like to see if I can make it. And this is like part of my husband and I have this running joke for years that's been, if the shit hits the fan someday, we'll be the richest people in the world because whoever has food is going to be rich. Mama's gonna eat. I used to laugh about watching Survivor when it first came out. I used to love that show. So, I think that I should, be on the show. And Les looks at me and he goes, really? You'd get kicked off immediately. I was like, why? Because you're such a threat. You'd be killing something and grilling it like immediately. I was like, well,
that's true. That's true.
Too many meals,
Yeah. And you've got like the stereotypical haircut for the intimidating person for the intimidating woman on Survivor. I think so. I saw that haircut right there, and I see her going after some fish. She got to go. We got to get rid of that one. Okay. Lance says the economy as it was previously constituted is likely going to be gone for good. Yeah, Lance, that's the weird thing is we don't know what's going to happen. And it feels like I'm pretty sure nothing's going to be the same again, at least for a long time.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what hurts. I was talking in one of my last live streams about how a lot of the anxiety you're feeling is probably grief, because you're understanding that a lot of things aren't going to be the same. And so you're mourning the way things used to be. I mean, hopefully things will go back. There was the flu pandemic in 1918.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And, things went back to normal eventually after that too. So
or there was a new normal.
Yeah, it was a new normal. We'll get through this too. It'll go down in the history books.
Yeah. I mean, I think this is hard for normal people, like worldly people, normal people who weren't raised as we were. I think it's hard for everybody, but I think there's an extra level of anxiety for ex-witnesses. But the funny thing is that everybody said like, well, you seem so calm and you don't seem like you're really, freaking out over the apocalypse side of this. And it makes me laugh because it's like, well, we were raised for this. Like,
right.
We're going to be fine. We're not going to starve. Everything's good. But there's a lot of people who are just really, anxious about that side of it. And to me, that's not what's scary. What's scary is like reminding myself in the middle of the night, all of that is bullshit. It's not going to happen. Donald Trump's not going to be up there going peace and security. And then the end will come, like, grow up.
Oh, can you imagine?
Yeah.
Yeah. But you're right. That's the last thing that Donald Trump would do is declare peace and security.
Right. Well, he might declare it just to say he's the one who declared it. Get the best peace and security.
Right. Well,
most secure.
If anyone's watching that's not familiar with JW doctrine, and I might be speaking with outdated information here. Remember, I'm a 90s baby. But one of the end time prophecies is that the leaders of the world would turn on religion. And there's no way Donald Trump is living. Religion are his crutches right now. That he's not ever going to turn on religion.
And could you see somebody like Mike Pence ever turning on religion? Like, no.
There's no way it would happen.
Personified.
Yeah, there's so much of their doctrine there just makes they really didn't think it through. With how much money religion brings in, the government's never going to turn on religion.
Right.
It's not going to happen. Look at Florida right now. Florida is refusing. They just now went under shelter in place, but churches can still gather.
Because they consider it essential. Like that's just ridiculous.
Right. And it's because I try to wrap my head around this, because even when I was nose deep in the Kool-Aid as a Jehovah's Witness, like I would have been relieved to hear that the meetings were canceled for a month.
Yeah, me too.
Like, yes, I get to sleep in on a Sunday morning. I can't believe it. Yeah, it's not the churchgoers, I don't believe, that are really that upset about this. It's the people passing around the collection plates with the money, and then the politicians that are getting donations from these people.
Right. Or who are having, the church has a lot of control. I mean, the church has a lot of influence. I mean, a lot of the politicians depend on churches to tell people who to vote for. You know, that
Yep.
they're never going to turn on religion.
No. I wish. Like that's the
It would
one.
kind of not be a bad thing, but
That's kind of the one prophecy I wish that they were right about. But and just to be clear with everyone, I have no problem with people having spiritual beliefs. You know, believe whatever you want. I have some beef with organized religion. That's all I'm saying.
yeah. Yeah. Actually, I think it's great for people who do have faith. It must be nice. I just can't.
Yeah. It is, and it is nice when things like this happen to have something to turn to.
Well, right. Yeah.
You know, even though I have plenty of things to say about it, but you know, if it comforts you, that's good to have a source of comfort. For me right now, my source of comfort is basically wine that I'm allergic to and video games.
I drink and I make things.
You'll have to send me like a sample of your dandelion wine and we'll see if I'm allergic to it or not.
Oh yeah, I can send you some maple syrup too.
Oh,
I have a little bit. I have I think one or maybe two people who didn't pick theirs up from the last batch that I made.
Okay.
And then of course, you know, I've always got something going on.
She is making up a storm. She is making your clothes.
It's an Afghan.
Making your wine, making your maple syrup, making your house. Bridget Pfister here to the rescue. It was the JW upbringing. She wasn't going to need a husband to build her house in paradise. She was going to build it herself.
That's right. Well, you know, it's funny. My husband, he's incredibly worldly. Always has been, always will be. But, you know, he laughs because he's like, I'm just going to, you know, hand over the man card. You do the grilling. You're better at it. You do the power tools here, you know, put down the flooring, whatever. He just, he just helps me with stuff that I can't open. And
oh, that's hilarious.
Like, I can't get the blade off the table saw.
Now, your husband is ex-Mormon, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So is he having any kind of similar flashbacks that you are? I don't know. I'm not. Go ahead.
He actually, his mother is Mormon, but she was a convert late in life. She wasn't actually raised in it. His father became a Mormon so they could get married and then promptly never went back to church. So Les got a choice when he was about 12 of whether or not he wanted to keep going to church. And he said, no, thanks. And that was the end of it. I mean, his mother would have loved it if he had kept going and done all those things, but he just was like, nah. So,
nice. Oh,
yeah,
that's good. Good.
He's mighty fortunate.
Yeah. All right. M. Greenwood said, was freezing rain earlier in Denver. Snow now. Yep. You're right. I went driving today and I had to chisel my car out from the freezing rain.
Wow.
Yeah, it was just covered in like this sheet of ice. Bear Woody says, I made a gallon of yogurt today. Has to sit in fridge overnight, though.
Yum.
Have you made a yogurt before?
I have.
Really? Mm-hmm. I feel so lousy. I have never done any of these things.
You know, I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's because I grew up in a house of people that made things, or if it's just like I have sort of a relentless productivity gene and I can't be still very long, or if it's just I'm interested in things. But I wanted to know how you made yogurt, and so I went and looked it up, and then I was like, oh, that sounds cool. And so I tried it, and it's pretty cool. It's tasty.
So how do you make yogurt?
Well, you have to get some milk and heat it. I mean, there's a whole process. You heat it to a certain temperature, and then you add a yogurt culture, and then you have to put it in. I mean, some people use a crock, some people use a yogurt little machine thing to keep it at the right temperature, and you let it sit. And then there's different ways you can do it. You can strain it. You can do different things. But yeah, it's really actually a very simple process.
Wow.
Rainy Days says that she makes cookies and cheesecake. I would say making yogurt is easier than making cheesecake.
Really?
Yes, cheesecake is hard.
Wow. I've never made cheesecake either. I buy it already made. It's
Tasty though.
it's my partner's birthday tomorrow.
Are you
Yeah.
making cake?
No, because I can't get the ingredients for cake. Everything
Instant Pot.
is stripped bare here. I can't get eggs. I can't get nothing.
Aw,
I know.
bummer.
So I think we're going to order Cheesecake Factory because they're open and delivering. So we're going to get a
Awesome.
cheesecake from Cheesecake Factory.
Hey, that's good stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
Bear, you make yogurt in an Instant Pot? I need to get an Instant Pot. I don't have one of those yet.
And so what is the difference between an Instant Pot and so there's Instant Pots. I when I picture an Instant Pot, I think of like a rice cooker or like a crock pot.
Well, it's a little bit different because it's got more buttons and knobs on it. I think I think of it more like a pressure cooker, sort of.
Okay.
But it's one of those gadgets that I don't have yet. So one of these days I'm going to get one and experiment with it.
So wait, was he saying that he made yogurt in an Instant Pot?
Mm-hmm.
Yogurt in an Instant Pot. So what other kind of things do you make in an Instant Pot?
Oh, you can make anything in there. You can make stew and it cooks things really fast.
He says it cools rice, makes yogurt, pressure cooker, slow cooker, all in one.
Yeah. Cheesecake in a crock pot. What? You people are amazing. Like we need to have a regular feature on making stuff.
Yeah, we need to have an XJW like a cooking party.
Oh, that would be awesome.
People, I feel like some of the people are speaking the language of like tiny kitchens because if a pressure cooker thingy, whatever y'all are talking about, really can make all of that in one device. That's amazing because I have like this much counter space. Bridget over here has been remodeling her kitchen.
Oh yeah,
and it is beautiful. So tell me about your oven. It has like 10 doors.
Okay, I'll just take you over there and show you. Let me turn the lights on.
This is XJW Cribs.
Yeah, so we just remodeled this. It used to be very 1970s, dark wood, dark everything. And so this is my fabulous new stove.
Look at it. It's blue.
Yes, it is. 2 convection ovens.
Oh my God.
6 burners and a flat top and a massive hood. That is what I spent all my money on.
Those are like life goals right there. Hashtag life goals.
So the stove is like that's just my thing. I've wanted that stove since I can't even think of how long. It's a really long time. It doesn't have any bells and whistles in terms of like, it doesn't have a timer. It doesn't have a clock. It doesn't, it's just a gas oven and stove, but it's got 2 convection ovens. The burners are like 25,000 BTUs. So I can pressure can on it. Anything a restaurant can do, I can do.
Yeah. It looks like a restaurant grill. That is amazing.
Yeah.
Did you say that both of the ovens are convection?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Wow, that's really cool.
Yeah, and I can have all of them going at any time. So
yeah. That's awesome.
And it's not electric. So if the power goes out, I can still cook.
Yeah, there you go.
Yep. Mama's not going to be hungry.
Morris Tony here says, I laugh when I walk into someone's house that has a stove like that and then see they have super cheap kitchen knives.
Oh, yeah. We don't do cheap knives either.
I believe it. The person that is going to win Survivor over here, I guarantee, has the best kitchen knives you will find.
I do.
Is it North Carolina or South Carolina?
North Carolina.
North Carolina. In North Carolina. Rainy Day says we should really do an XJW cookbook with funny titles for our favorite dishes.
Oh, that's a magnificent idea. Let's do it.
Yeah.
I'm going to start that project. That would be
You should. You are the channel of things that nobody else is doing. So
thank you for that idea. I'm gonna do that. That sounds amazing.
You could do it with the Clutching Pearls chick.
on the cover. Pearline's Jehovah's Witness recipe.
Yes.
So Constellation Pegasus asked if we can see the JW literature collection. So I would take you down there and show you, but that end of the house is where the boys are sleeping and the dog, and I do not want to wake them up right now. That would be so bad. But I promise to do, maybe I'll do a video and show you guys the collection. I did get rid of a lot of it. It just, I didn't have anywhere to put it. I was not going to pay for a storage building for that crap.
JW literature, yeah.
So when I was cleaning out my mom and my grandparents' house last summer and last fall, we filled up 4 30 cubic yard dumpsters. 4 of them we filled up.
Wow.
One of them was all JW literature.
Mm. And probably, was it a lot of bound volumes?
Tons of bound volumes. My mother had gotten bound volumes for my sister and I, like from the beginning of bound volumes all the way through to well after we left the witnesses, hoping that we would come back so she could give them to us. Oh my gosh, they've got recipe ideas. Oh my
Morris gosh. Tony said Tony's tight wraps.
Yahweh yogurt. I love it. Is there any way to save the chat so I can save these?
Yeah, Smurfs pudding. Apostate recipes for the end of the world. Cooking with Bridget.
Oh my God, I love this so much.
Armageddon apple pie. Yahweh's yogurt. Tight pants tortellini.
That is magnificent. Oh yeah.
Babylon the Great Barbecue. Oh, these are good. See,
the Tower of Babel. The Tower of Babel needs to be beans. Something with beans.
Right. Mm-hmm. I keep saying the Watchtower is losing its best people all the time.
Oh yeah, it lost us. Come on.
Right. Tight pants tacos.
Oh, the hoagies. Oh my God, the hoagies.
Oh, I missed it. I misclicked. Daisy Deuce. You guys are on fire right now with these recipe ideas.
Reproof-worthy chocolate cake. Better than pioneering cake. I made that one up.
You really have to do this. You could even do how-to videos with the Clutching Pearls lady.
Oh, that would be so funny.
With your magnificent new stove.
This is happening.
This is happening.
Oh my God, this is gonna happen. This.
Scotch eggs, fellowship danishes.
Oh my God. That is funny.
Wow. I don't even know where to go from here.
Yeah,
I just want to write a cookbook right now.
What a great idea. You guys are the best. What a great idea.
PTS pickles. No, wait, that's Scientology. What is
PTS? Is that like subversive people or something?
It might be.
Suppressive. That's what it is. Suppressive
persons.
Maybe.
But how does that fit into PTS?
Oh, I thought maybe it was a PTSD reference.
Oh, right.
I don't know. I've been reading so much of their sex-related material lately that like some of the names that are running through my head right now are just like, oh, we could never use those. But
oh no. So how long do you feel like you can go on with the Sex in the Watchtower stuff? Is that a thing that you feel like you'll run out of eventually?
Well, I was thinking that, but then I only started this series in 1970, right? I started with 1970. There is so much before that, so much that I don't know. I mean, I don't know how long I'll do it till I get bored with it.
Mm-hmm.
But right now, I mean, I'll be like, I don't know. Let me look at my, list and see what if there's anything I want to laugh about today. And I'll look, and inevitably it's like, oh God, there are jokes all over this. Like I can't not do this. And the last one just made me so mad that I had to do that because it just made me so mad. I don't know if you've seen it. Episode 15 is the Learn from the Great Teacher book.
Okay, tell us about it in case.
Oh, well, so it's about what they actually teach for little kids. So, little kids are in the meeting all the time and they're hearing this gratuitous, unnecessary sexual content that's probably like way beyond their years all the time anyway. Without warning, they'll start talking about genitals and homosexual and bestiality and all the things that they love to talk about. And then, it's really not appropriate for their age. And so I guess, I don't know if somebody said something to them about it not being appropriate or whatever. And so they decided to write something for children. And so they added some stuff to the Learn from the Great Teacher, which used to be Listening to the Great Teacher. That's probably what you'll remember, the pink book with the green writing. Well, they added some chapters about sex. Well, no, they didn't add chapters about sex. They added sex to the demons chapter.
Of course, the demons chapter.
Witness sex ed for little kids. It's about like the demons wanted to have sex with the pretty women on earth. What do you know about sex relations? I mean, it's really revolting. It's revolting. And what really made me so angry about it is that the more I read, the more I was outraged that they make these little kids responsible for protecting themselves from pedophiles and say, oh, go tell an adult. But the adults won't do anything if you do go tell. So that's what my whole last episode was about, was that.
Right. They're just saving their asses there. Look, we said right here.
Yeah, exactly. And meanwhile, you've got little kids who now think that there are sex demons flying around trying to make them have sex with people. I mean, it's just ridiculous.
I actually believe that when I was like, it's crazy. When I was hitting puberty, I was like, this is the demons. They're in here with me. Oh, it's wild.
Well, I mean, think about that though. How ludicrous is it to think that there's some invisible thing, like to teach people, like it's fact. Like they talk about Noah's Ark and stuff in this whole, like the Nephilim and really, that's how we're going to teach kids about biology?
Right.
Like, yeah. And the result is that we're all clueless and we all thought that, there were demons flying around trying to trick us into doing something with our crotch. I mean, I don't even know.
Right. It's crazy. So when you were growing up with witnesses, did you go to a public school or were you homeschooled?
Oh, I went to public school. I can't even imagine. If I'd been homeschooled, I would not be here right now.
Yeah, I was homeschooled and it was pretty wild.
Oh God, I can only imagine.
Yeah, well, it was one of those. It was kind of a sham homeschool that that it let you count Jehovah's Witness activities as schooling. So like field service hours and things like that counted. Reading the Awake counted.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and I never even finished that. I never even finished the fake school. But yeah, it was pretty wild to grow up like that and have no concept of, real science or biology or how anything kind of works. And it's still something I'm catching up on. FYI to everybody out there, like this is stuff that you catch up on for the rest of your life. I feel like I'm always going to be catching up to everyone else. I feel like the good thing about, if there's any silver lining there, is that I learned how to fake it really well. So
Well, when I was, I kind of took school and ran with it because that was my escape. And I got out at just the right time and went straight to college and, really didn't look back. But I have other relatives who were in similar situations to what you described, pulled out of school and homeschooled, very young, and ended up not finishing and not, starting from behind. But I think all of us kind of share the feeling of like, what could we have done? What could we have been if we hadn't been raised this way? And honestly, I feel like I would have a PhD by now, at least one.
Yeah.
Because, when I went to graduate school, I got my master's and realized that school gets easier the further you go because you're only looking at things you're really interested in.
Yeah.
But one thing that my major professor told me that has really stuck with me, he said, it doesn't matter how many degrees you get, and it doesn't matter how many schools you go to or how many certificates you try to get or what your grades are, that the real measure of intelligence is being able to teach yourself something.
Yeah.
Being able to go find out, being able to think up, where would I find out about this? How would I figure this out? There's not anybody I can ask. And when you see people who start from behind like we did, who still manage to be smart and good researchers and good speakers and all of that, it's still pretty damn impressive.
Yes, absolutely. Amen, Sister Fister. Preaching. La, la, la. Well, I gotta say, like, for myself, like, my JW upbringing, we have our special guest has arrived, but I just want to cap off this convo before we bring the special guest in. But what was I saying? That I think the best thing about my JW upbringing was that, you were taught, at least in my day, you were taught to research everything. And if you had a question, you went to the bound volume and you read you were cross-referencing this and that. And that really helped me to learn how to self-educate and learn for my own. I just had to be doing what I learned from reputable sources.
Yes. You just change the source and then you're already really good at research.
Yes.
But Jerem, I would never have known in the world if you hadn't said that just now, that you didn't go, you didn't finish high school or you didn't go to school. I would never have known that.
Well, thank you.
You come across as extremely well read.
I am very well read, but it's mostly Stephen King.
Oh, he's my favorite.
Yes.
I love Stephen King.
All right. I don't want to keep him waiting anymore. Everyone, I would like to introduce our very special guest. Hopefully they're here. Goatlike personality has joined us. Hi, Jonas.
Hello.
Hello. Thank you for waiting. Sorry about that.
Yeah, but I was late. Are you starting a restaurant or something?
We're going to do a cookbook.
We're going to do a
cookbook. Okay.
She's going to do a cookbook with the pearl clutching lady.
Okay. Yeah, it sounds like fun.
That's hilarious.
I've been busy, so I just came late and heard you talking about restaurant stuff.
Yeah.
I have a question. You're talking about Stephen King.
Mm-hmm.
Are American witnesses allowed to read him?
No, not the ones I knew. No.
No. Okay. Yeah.
It just
that's
on the
big no here too.
Yeah, which is weird because he's written a lot of stuff that would be totally fine with witnesses. Mm-hmm. That it's Stephen King, so no. Yeah. It's very early for Goatlike, so I really appreciate you. Should I be calling you Goatlike or Jonas?
Jonas is my name.
Jonas is.
You can. Either one is good.
Okay, well, Jonas is easier, but I might revert to Goatlike just because I'm used to reading it. But it's very early for Jonas, so I'm very appreciative of you joining. What time is it there?
It's 0446.
Ooh, very early.
Wow. That is 4:46 in the morning to all my American viewers. Wow. So what do you have planned for today, Jonas?
I'm going to go to bed soon. This is not early. This is late for me. I've been up all day.
Oh. What have you been doing all night?
Some stuff.
Very cryptic.
Oh, alone on the farm doing some stuff.
Yeah.
Hey.
So do you get weekends? Do you ever have a weekend, Jonas, with a farm?
Weekend from the farm? Yeah, I
Yeah.
go to Trondheim cleaning windows,
So that's your weekend
Nah, that's work.
work.
Nah, I used to go out dancing on Saturdays.
Yeah. I think I've seen a wonderful video of you doing that.
Yeah, thank you. Now I have to try to learn to know some word. The problem is I was PMO too long, so even though I was PMO, I was still preaching all the time because it's just my default setting, So kind of I tried to make a clear cut. There were 5 pages, 5 full pages of me in the newspapers, including front page, when I left. This is why Jonas leaves the Jehovah's Witnesses, front page. So I thought that would be my disassociation letter. But
so
still,
it was actually in the newspaper?
Yeah, front page, big picture.
Wow.
Can you imagine?
How did you score that?
Yeah, talking to journalists. And you have to be willing to tell all the dirty secrets.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow. What a way to go out in a blaze of glory.
Yes, and obviously the witnesses answered, and said, we don't shun people, blah, 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 the normal stuff. And then the next day, my only contact I had with my parents at that point was they were following me on Instagram. And I never responded to anything because I thought, for my mother's sake, that as long as there's no contact more than them looking at my picture, then they will have the conscience to keep doing that. But the day after that article was in the newspaper, then they blocked me on Instagram. They were following me. They unfollowed me on Instagram.
Wow.
So now you just have to let them go. They can ruin their own life.
It's hard, though. I mean, it's hard. My father lives 20 minutes down the road, and I haven't seen him in a year. Neither have my children.
Yeah, but that was my disassociation letter, because people write disassociation letters to the elders, and the elders don't even read it. They just look through it really fast, with the left eye and...
Right. They get as much information as they need to know out of it, but they're not going to read your apostate words.
Yeah. So I always tell people, if you're going to disassociate, don't write to the elders. Write to the people in the congregation you care about.
Yeah.
That's what the Mormons do if they want to leave. They write letters to everyone in the ward. And sometimes people wake up and leave with them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So witnesses write to the elders, and the elders don't read it. So I thought I'd just go to the newspaper.
I wish I would have thought of that.
Me too.
That is brilliant.
Yeah. But ADHD come with being impulsive. So the elders came afterward and they said, yeah, so they come 2 people because they need 2 witnesses. So we understand you don't want to be one of Jehovah's Witnesses. And I hate when they insult my intelligence. I know what they're doing, but they thought, they could kind of trick me to say yes.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So then I just went opposite and said, no, it's God's one true religion. And they said, that was actually one of the most weirdest conversation I had, because when they said, well, the newspaper said you leave Jehovah's Witnesses and you no longer believe. Well, that's Satan's media. You cannot trust Satan's media.
You are brilliant.
And this actually turned. I should have. This turned into an argument where the elders were arguing with me. Why do you want to be a Jehovah's Witness? Can't you leave? And I say, I want my pet panda.
Who doesn't, man? I want my panda too.
God, that is awesome.
So I managed to stay in for about a year after that article, and they tried to kick me out. In the end, they kicked me out when I was in Australia.
Oh,
So
wow.
that recently, I think we talked about this a little bit while you were on last time, but it's still crazy to me that it was that recent.
Yes, I'm actually recently disfellowship, but I woke up in 2004.
Oh, wow.
Wow. So all this time, does it feel weird for you to still be on this topic that much later? Because
No.
I left at the same time you did in 2004.
Yeah, but I didn't leave. I was PIMO for 14 years.
Okay. So, okay. Yeah, I got you. Because I was PIMO for a while too. Yeah.
See, I just couldn't. Once I realized like this is not the thing, I was just like, nope, not gonna do it. Forget it.
I wish that I would have had that. I wish that like
I just can't.
yeah, like being PIMO kind of sucked.
Even if I could lie about it and go through the motions, I think my face would give me away.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure.
Yeah, but it's fun for in the beginning. I don't know. It's difficult to explain afterward. I went into field service after stopped believing, which was just awkward, just tagging along. But I'd been pioneering for 10 years, and I actually enjoy being a Jehovah's Witness when I believed it. So going through the motions like on a very low level wasn't so hard in the beginning. And for me, a low level were still more than most the publishers.
Mhm.
When I decided to fade, I moved to Oslo to serve in the Russian-speaking congregation. So that's me fading. Moving to a new country where the need is greater to serve in a foreign language. That was me fading.
Well, apparently it works. I mean, did you read Amber Scora's book?
No, I haven't.
She went to China as a missionary.
Yeah.
And ended up waking up.
Yeah, but I woke up before the Oslo thing.
Okay.
That's what I did when I decided to fade. That's moving to a territory where the need is greater to serve in a foreign field.
Bear Woody points out my rudeness here. Please explain to us outsiders who Goatlike is. Just a little history. I'll leave that to Goatlike, the best explainer of all. Who are you? Why are you important? And why are you on my channel?
I was the fourth generation Jehovah's Witness from Sweden. Now I'm the first generation overlapping apostate.
First generation overlapping apostate.
And I was pioneering almost 10 years. I've been on 4 Bethels. I've been in Russia on Bethel, building construction, not as a Bethelite. And I was PIMO for 14 years because my wife was very religious. And she left me with the words, I love you, but I love them more.
Ooh.
Should I tell you something creepy?
Yeah.
She had a problem with her disease and it affected her brain. And, they were, guilt tripping, talking about demons. She had anxiety. And, they were telling her that you're allowed to stay with him, but you may lose your eternal life, stuff like that. This in any marriage. But anyway, we were using the same computer and had the same account. So after she left, I remember I need to go back and look through my history, my search history for something. And then obviously I found both of our search history because we used the same. And I feel sorry for her more than anything because she was sick. I feel so sorry. The last week she was here, she had Googled first, is it illegal to think your own thoughts? And she searched that in jw.org and on Google. And then she searched the same question over and over again, like, is it dangerous to have your own thoughts in your own head? Is independent thinking immoral? And she searched both Watchtower and Google. And the same question over and over again, is it dangerous to think your own thoughts in your own head? Over and over again, 10 times. And then the last question was, how to file for divorce.
Oh.
God, that's so sad.
Yeah, that's more sad than anything. I feel sorry for her.
Wow.
She was struggling.
Yeah. So tell our audience like where are you at now and where is she at now?
Well, she left me, and like she left me because of the cult. There's a billion reasons why she would leave me, but she said she left me because of the cult. And for 1 year, she called me and wanted to come back, and I said, "Do you love me more than them?" Because that's where I draw the line. That's the bare minimum. And then after 1 year, she started shunning me, and then I found out now she's disfellowshipped.
Mm-hmm. Did
That's,
you find out
that
why?
kind of makes it worse.
Wow.
Because even she married another guy, and I hope he's a good guy. I never met him, but she was, according to them, not free to remarry. It's a very pharisaical organization, because if you think about it, they must have had a meeting where they called her in and said, not congratulations for being married. They say, you're accused of an adulterous marriage. That's what they call it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they say, can you prove that your apostate husband, the one ex-husband, the one you're not allowed to talk to according to our rules, has been, doing something? So, and she says, no, but he's an apostate, And I said, well, we have to give him the benefit of the doubt. Think about that. I get the benefit of the doubt. She does not. And she's a sister, and they believe, because in their head, if you're disfellowshipped, even if the elders make a mistake, this is one of the doctrine, what you keep on earth will be kept in heaven. So even if the elders that are imperfect make a mistake, she will be executed in Armageddon. That's what they believe. So they have this sister that left, done everything for them. And they say, can you prove what your despicable apostate husband? And even if I would have told her, that I had done something, she still doesn't have two witnesses.
Right.
Right.
So
Yeah.
no proof.
So who got the benefit of the doubt?
Right.
Well, here's the worst part. Jonas, none of this is any of their business, like at all.
No, of course it's none of their business. But I'm angry I can forgive them everything they do against me, but I cannot forgive what they've done to her.
Yeah.
Terrible.
They could just have picked up the phone and called me.
Yeah.
So I'm a bit angry with that. I can forgive everything they've done to me. No problem. Take me less than a second.
Well, that's good of you, because I mean, just the way that they, and I've heard this from your story, and I've heard it from other people's stories as well. The way that they, like, after you leave, they continue to pry, and they continue to dig into your sex life after you've left. Like, what in the world kind of religion has any business knowing what you are doing with your private parts years after you've left?
Right.
It's insane.
Yeah. From a legal perspective, Norway is a part of the European Union, kind of. So we have the ED, what do you call it? The GDPR, the privacy law, the European privacy law. They mean the watchtower are not allowed to handle any information about me anymore. Right. More than the bare minimum that I have been baptized and I left and why I left. But now they had a meeting with her where they said, according to our file about your husband, he had not fornicated yet. That means they have a file.
Oh my God.
Or the other opportunity is that they say, will you tell us what you know about your ex-husband's genital while we are taking notes and creating a file? So in both cases, it's really illegal. And it's not like, privacy law, oh, we have his address. Okay, where we're not to have that would be a crime to have my address. But they're talking about my genitals.
So over the top, like it's a weird power trip.
Yeah. So wait, do they know where you live now?
Yeah, of course they know where I live.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think. Yeah, they're allowed to have like the basic information that's relevant to their business, basically that I've been baptized and that I left, and how much literature I sold the last month and a few stuff like that. That's okay. But to update that about my current genitals behavior the last year after leaving, that's not even wrong. It's so over the top wrong.
Yeah, it's a whole nother level of wrong.
Yeah.
I would love to see what my file looks like. Oh my God, I would pay money. I would pay good money to see that.
Yeah.
I bet it would be some good, funny reading.
Yeah.
I've seen my file. It's not funny. It's just some basic things, and also it's passive. You know, they have a whitewashed thing. You know, just when you were baptized and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And I asked to see even handwritten notes from all elders. Obviously, they did not go to all elders and ask them to deliver handwritten notes. You know, so they just pretend they never got that question. So just a normal paper with, you know, but still they have to go to be passive aggressive, you know. So they write, we have this following information. We also have the information that you've been disfellowshipped for not being good enough. Mm-hmm. Something like that.
So it's funny. I'm looking at a few of the comments. Candace Lambert says that judicially the witnesses handle men and women so much differently, and they come down super hard on women. That is absolutely true.
Yeah.
So true.
Yeah, I agree from everything that I've seen.
I believe it's true. I have no way of saying if it's true. I've never been an elder, actually.
David Wilklin says, the elders asked myself and my wife if we climaxed or not at a 3-hour judicial on the same day we got married. They have to intrude, and the elders manual teaches the mandates that they do it. But that's crazy. Like if you climax, they ask you that so I'm guessing they're asking about something before you got married. They pinned you down after your wedding to have a judicial with you. Am I understanding that right? Because that is insane. Oh, he has a follow-up. They told us if we hadn't have gotten married that morning, May 22nd, 1999, at the Chicago Justice of the Peace, in which the judicial was that afternoon, we'd have been disfellowshipped the same day as our marriage. Wow.
That is ludicrous.
That's just, I mean, way to rain on a parade. Would Jesus approve? I mean, can you really, like, you have all these great pictures of loving Jesus and loving Jehovah. Is this really what he wants you to do, is to plop people down to face the judges on their wedding day? There's no way.
Yeah, and it's all because they, maybe use their organs before they were married or whatever. But, if you look at it, what did humanity do before marriage was invented?
Great question. Was there a marriage ceremony for Adam and Eve? Did they have the papers?
And if God had intended for marriage to be the, sexual activation or whatever, why didn't he make it that way? Mm-hmm. Like, for real.
Right.
Why would this stuff even work before you were married then?
Right. That's a really good point.
Like, if I can improve upon the intelligent design, the design isn't that intelligent. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, somebody in the comments mentioned stalking. When I was disfellowshipped in 97, there were several years there where I still lived in the same town that as the congregation where I was disfellowshipped from. I mean, there were people that would follow me around in stores, listen to my conversations. If I was at a restaurant with friends, and report back. I caught a pioneer sister and her husband in my driveway, like looking through my bedroom window. And I wasn't there, and I pulled in behind them. And I got out of my car and I was like, excuse me, what are you doing? Oh, we were just wondering if you were home. I was like, yeah, the door's over there. You could have knocked on it.
Right.
Like, what are you doing?
It's crazy.
Yeah, it's totally nuts.
Yeah. Candace says that she got stalked big time. I'd like to hear more, Candace. That's crazy. My mom has had these experiences too of being stalked. Maybe a little bit from the elders, but mainly by like her ex-husband sending
Oh my God.
people after her to like, she had her own like barber shop, and I probably shouldn't go on like too much of her story, but you know, she had her own barber shop, her own places of business, and she would see like this ministerial servant driving around the block a few times to see who, like, what are you looking to see? If she's like, whose hair is she cutting? Or like to see if she's like throwing down on the barber chair with somebody.
Oh, they used to show up at my work all the time.
Really?
All the time. And I'd be like, why are you here? I mean, you're going to get me fired. Why are you here? I don't want to talk to you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't know why. Like, they have no idea what's appropriate.
No. No, I had that. I was kind of stalked too for a while, but I didn't know it yet. I was working at a restaurant, and we had this regular that came in every morning, and she would sit there for hours, sometimes the entire shift. She'd come in at 7 a.m, and she would be there till 3 p.m. or whatever, playing on her tablet or whatever. And I come to find out that she's a Jehovah's Witness that knows my dad and is reporting on me. She would sit at this table that could see down the service aisle in the kitchen, and she was real nosy. Like all the other servers and stuff were like, God, why is she always watching us? She was watching me and reporting about me to my damn dad. Like,
wow.
I'd never even heard of her before. I didn't know until she invited me to the memorial like 3 years after she'd been doing this, and I started to put the pieces together what she was doing.
Was she counting her time as a pioneer, I wonder?
I bet she was.
Probably.
Candace followed up. She said, my email and bank account got hacked the same week I left. A black car seat outside my house, daily blacked out windows, car running. For about 3 months, I got stalked heavily. I reported it to the police.
That is crazy.
Wow.
Like, it reminds me of the Leah Remini show where what the Scientologists do to people.
Yeah, to the suppressive prisons.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The witnesses are, I've heard them described as diet Scientology before. And I kind of think that's sort of true.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's true too. David says the elders and elderettes will try turning the publishers into the CIA, FBI agents for Watchtower. I guess I was their Aldrich Ames or Robert Hansen. Spy on them as they spy on me.
Mm.
Yeah, but they think they have they have the need to know, and they have the, what do you say in English? The right to know.
Yeah.
It's kind of logic for them. I know his sister. No, she didn't tell me. She told a friend, but he told me. So the elders in the she worked in a bank, and the elder just walked in, and he was standing in line like the other customers. And when he came to her, he said, "We just want you to check up how much this and that brother, how much money he has." And she said, "I can't do that. Well, we need to know because we think he's not giving enough contributions."
Mm.
Wow.
Wow.
And the interesting, I'm not. It's kind of a normal thing. The elders do stupid things, but the audacity. You're in a bank with a lot of worldly people around, and you put on your elder suit, and you think you look good in a flea market suit, and you go to the bank, and you just ask the questions. It's still a public place. People are airdropping.
Mm-hmm.
Well, but there was also an issue because I used to do medical transcription, and I worked for a couple of doctors in that same town, and there was issues with Jehovah's Witnesses who were office staff in doctors' offices who would get access to people's medical records and report back on them. And there were, I believe, a couple of sisters who got fired because somebody reported that behavior.
Wow.
Yeah.
But there's they have no boundaries, none. Everything is fair game as long as it's for Jehovah.
Right. Would it classify as theocratic warfare?
Yeah.
Yeah. So do any of you, that either Bridget or Jonas or anybody in the chat, did you ever engage in this? Like, did you, from any of your memories, did you ever follow someone around or spy on them or anything like that? I never did.
No. Now I would tell on somebody in a heartbeat.
Yeah,
if I
for
heard
sure.
or knew something. Yes, I would, because I was terrified not to. But following somebody around, no.
No. No, not it. What about you, Jonas, with your goats?
Yeah, I'm thinking, I would tell on people, of course. Not anything I'm proud of. I remember, but there are people in the congregation that are bad association, and that rubs over to the children. So the children are bad because the parents are bad. And I remember the whole congregation, big part of the congregation used to go to a swimming pool, on Fridays. So the elders had to have elders meeting and show up late, but basically the congregation were there. And I remember our father told, so there was one kid in the congregation, and they told us that we should look at him and report to the elders if he were touching himself.
Yeah.
Which resulted in he started going with his mother and shower with his mother, like you do when you're a young boy, you shower with your mother. And obviously the young sisters in the congregation didn't like a young teenage brother showing with his mother because, he was looking at the girls, of course. So I remember my mother, so then the sisters in the congregation told the young boys in the congregation that we should bully him and make fun of him for going to the shower with his mother, so he would stop doing that. So we did that, and then his mother defended him and said he don't want to shower with the boys because they are weird and look at him. And I remember thinking, well, you're the potential masturbator, not So the elders told us that we should, look at him and make sure he wasn't masturbating. I didn't know what masturbation were, but we were looking at him that he wouldn't touch himself. And he went to the sisters asked him to bully him. And I think he's still a witness, actually.
That is awful. I mean, it's awful.
Yeah, he was bullied from both sides. And it's so weird. Why should we look out for him masturbating? But that, it wasn't the worst. Did I tell you I was used as pedophile bait?
No.
My God.
This is a really weird history. So this is the short story. So I'm 2 years. I have a lot of siblings, but me and my brother, we came like almost twins. I'm 2 years older than him. So when I was 7 years old or something like that, I'm old enough to go to the men's locker room alone, and bring my 5-year-old brother, something like that. And then, any responsible parent would, take the talk with the kids, And that's just, so he said, if there's a man that's playing with his penis, if there's a booger man that plays with his penis, you should not look at it. And if you're uncomfortable in any way, you should leave, And if he asks you to touch his penis, you should not do it. Even if he give you candy, you should just leave, And that's a good thing a parent should say to a child, was my mother. And then she said, and then when you go to the shower, you should not just run into the shower. You should stop in the door and look. And if there's a boogeyman there playing with his penis or doing anything that you feel uncomfortable, you should leave, So that's what my mother said, and that's very sane to say. But my father was eardropping, and he was an elder, and elders are very stressed, because if something's happening in the congregation, they actually believe this. It's one of their doctrines. Not so many rank and file witnesses know about, but the circuit overseers stress the elders really with this. If there's something going on in the congregation that you don't know about, or you didn't handle correctly, in Armageddon, Jesus might kill everyone in the congregation.
Jehovah's Spirit will leave the congregation, as they used to say.
And when they believe that, that's a lot of stress.
Yeah.
So my father airdropped his story where my mother, gave me kind of same instruction to a 7-year-old, and she said, "No, if you see someone playing with his penis in a shower, you should not talking about a naked 7-year-old, He said You should enter the shower and you should look at him. And if you recognize that it's a brother or someone that you see from another congregation, you should go and get your little brother. Now talking about the naked 5-year-old. So, and he can come and also have a look at him and memorize what you see.
Oh my God.
I have no words for this. I don't even.
And I remember my mother said, she said, no.
That is so far out there.
Gosh.
And he said he should, if there's a boogeyman playing with his feet, he should not go in and she should not get his 5-year-old baby brother to enter. And my father, he was grinding his teeth saying, yes, but the elders need 2 witnesses. The elders need to know. And then they had a fight. And then I remember this because they did not fight so much. In the end, they said, if there's a boogeyman playing with his penis, you should go in and have a good look at him. And
make sure you get in there and get a good look at that wiener.
Yeah. And then you should go and try to find another brother, a grown-up brother, and he can come in and also have a look at him. So the compromise was that I should not get the 5-year-old baby brother, but I should actually go in still after they've been arguing about it. I should still go in and look at it and have a good look at the pedophile. But then it gets more complicated because you remember they believe that homosexuality is a bad choice you made, on a bad day. So after being told that I should enter and look at the pedophile and look at him, and then my father said, but you should only look at him and memorize everything so you can tell the elders, but you should not keep looking so you start enjoying it.
Wow.
Well, I mean, really, you don't know.
That's the biggest concern in my father's mind was obviously that Jesus would kill everyone in the family and everyone in the congregation because we couldn't deal with the masturbation but you
don't even know that this guy
would be abused. It was that I could develop homosexual feelings.
Right. Mm-hmm.
I mean, the guy's like in the shower by himself, though, right? So that doesn't really. I mean, he could be freaked out when the 7-year-old walks in, like, "Oh no," I mean, it's just wow.
Yeah, nothing happened. So it was, but the whole situation, the whole war logic, that's war logic. If you're a general in war, you will just, you have 100 soldiers and there's a box that looks suspicious. You just take your weakest soldier and tell to him, you go and check the box because, everything will be good when we win the war. Mm-hmm. And that's what witnesses say also, with kids, stuff like that. Oh, God gonna wipe away every tear. So doesn't matter if the kids get raped today because he will forget about it in paradise.
Yeah. Oh, that's horrible.
Wow.
That's so bad. And I remember that kind of mindset of thinking too, that something like that is what makes you gay. And I remember like the early conversations when, as far as my sexuality went, that's what it like went back to, is like, all right, so who touched you, when, how did it go? Tell us all of the details. And I'm like, what? And it's just crazy that they want, you're already, especially for a gay kid at the time, growing up in a religion like Jehovah's Witnesses, like just having this conversation is traumatic enough. Yep. And now they want to either have you relive previous trauma or invent previous trauma for you to explain what's happening. It's crazy. Like these poor kids.
I can't imagine how hard it would be. I mean, it was hard enough growing up completely heterosexual in that climate. I cannot imagine trying to exist being a gay person in there. Just, oh my God.
Don't recommend it.
No, I doesn't sound like, doesn't sound fun.
No, I love that you're like knitting it. So what are you making over there?
Oh, well, so I said before, I have a hard time being still. Mm-hmm. So I kind of have to keep my hands moving.
Yeah, she's going to town over there on that thing. That's pretty cool.
I'm just it's something to keep my hands moving.
Yeah. All right. I've fallen behind on the chat here. Sorry if you've said anything that that I should have said aloud. I've been enraptured.
They're talking about local needs talks. I got threatened with a local needs talk.
Tell us about it.
About dating worldly people.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I hadn't been to a meeting in a year at that point, but I had a David Wickland's comment, a badass head covering. That's awesome. Yeah, I was dating a boy who was not a witness and wasn't going to meetings, wasn't, claiming to be a witness, wasn't going out in service. Like I was trying like hell to get away. And they told me that if I didn't break up with my boyfriend immediately, that they would mark me and give a marking talk about dating worldly people. And I was just laughing to myself because I was like, you know what? Everybody under the age of 30 in the congregation is dating a worldly person. Like nobody's gonna know it's me. I haven't been to a meeting.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's ridiculous. It's like public embarrassment. They love it. They thrive on it. It's sad.
Yeah. I had one of those marking talks too. It was horrible. And it doesn't end with like the embarrassment of the talk, because then you have to deal with the gossip chain and the gossip mail afterward, and everybody like whispering about you. As soon as the meeting is over, everyone clusters like hens in the corner of the congregation. Look at you.
Like, who are they talking about? Who was it about? Oh, that who? Oh, what did you do?
Oh man, my life is so much better now.
Oh, right? Yes. I really am so glad that I didn't marry a witness and that I did not have children in there, because my kids would be the worst Jehovah's Witnesses in the whole world.
Oh.
Well, so my oldest son, his name is Robert, and he's a little different. I think he's wicked smart, and he was making some logical leaps, at a very early age that sort of took me aback. But the last time he went to a Kingdom Hall was 2 or 3 years ago, when my grandfather passed away, and he was there, or no, it was my grandmother's funeral. Anyway, 45 minutes of listening to that. And when they talked about the resurrection, and I never thought about this before he said it to me, it sounds a whole lot like the zombie apocalypse.
Mm-hmm.
And, and he's like, why do they want the dead people to come back alive? He's like, why do they like the undead? I don't understand.
Yeah. Oh, they're good questions, and questions they don't like answering either.
Right.
Like,
right.
well, what that, like, when you start, especially if you're going to school and you're learning what happens to bodies after they die, they don't stay perfect. They rot and they turn to skeletons. They go to dust. How. So, Mr. Elder, how is it going to recompose? Are they going to come out as a skeleton, or they don't like those questions?
Well, Robert asks the very blunt questions too. Like, why don't you like my mama? Why are you mean to my mama?
Oh, that's good.
Like you.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, that's my boy.
Yeah. You're riding shotgun.
Yeah. Yeah.
David with more stories. My favorite status was being on private reproof on full restrictions. I came to field service once as the only brother, and on reproof, the sisters scrambled to grab a cloth for head.
They still let you go out in service for when you're on private reproof?
He said full restrictions.
Oh, wow.
So private reproof with full restrictions. He must have really done something. Like, right? He probably watched Titanic.
You don't need to do much. You just need to be unstrategic about it. Like if you smoke one okay, so the elders the Bible say you should openly admit your wrongdoings. That's what the Bible say.
Mm-hmm.
But in the elders book, the first question they ask, how many know about this?
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
All
you
they
know,
care about appearances.
you know, there are some Jehovah Witnesses that will call the elders every time they masturbate. And that means that poor elder that receives the report has, you know, push it up the chain of command, and, you know, have notes have to be taken. And after a while, they have to do something, you know. It can't be, okay, this is the 20th time. Okay, you're on reproof. If it ever happen again, it will be a serious reproof. So there are some, you know, some really honest-hearted people that do that. And
yeah. With the masturbation thing, that's really funny too. How many people know about this? How many people know about your chronic masturbation?
yeah, but some witnesses do what the Bible says, you know, that you should openly admit.
Openly, yeah.
And also, some witness literature say that if you have that problem, you should talk to someone you trust, okay? And, you know,
body members you
trust
control.
everyone, because we're all brothers and sisters.
Got to control those members.
Yeah. So I remember I learned about it. Okay, so I never been an elder, but I was kind of having all the responsibilities. No, not all the, but, you know, I was groomed, so they would tell me stuff. And I remember they told me about the sister. She was disfellowshipped, and they said, we don't want to disfellowshipped. The problem is that she has too strong conscience. So every time she do something wrong, she go and tell us. And this was the 3rd time.
Yeah. Well,
or she tells everyone else how sorry she is. And when everyone knows about something, well, then we have no choice. When it happens, we have disfellowshipped her. So hopefully, and he laughed, like, ironically, he said, hopefully she come back with a hardened conscience. So they were not trying to hide the fact that she was disfellowshipped, because she had a very strong and good moral compass.
mm-hmm.
But, you know, she as a sister only had the Bible, and the Bible say you should openly admit your wrongdoings. So she's sitting now home crying, thinking that she's a terrible person. And she said, okay, let's say she smoked a cigarette. I don't know what she did, but okay, I smoked a cigarette and told everyone in the congregation, and Jehovah disfellowship me. Next time, I will tell everyone in the circuit. You know, that's the reasonable Bible-based conclusion. What did I do wrong? I committed a small mistake. I told everyone, and I was still disfellowshipped.
Yeah. Well, and I honestly think that aspect of the Jehovah's Witness culture is what really shoots them in the foot, because most, you know, sometimes you wonder, like, how is it that all of these apostates that are being activists or making YouTube videos, they're so knowledgeable, they know what they're doing, they were all like really strong people, they were, you know, ex-elders, ex-pioneers, you know, Bethelites, all of this. And the reason for that is that these people that took it really seriously enough to talk to somebody about their masturbation problem, as opposed to someone living a double life and, you know, just, you know, fapping away in the corner and then going to the meetings and, you know, whatever. You know, it's the really zealous people that they hold to this really high standard and get kicked out. And now you have all of these people that you trained, Watchtower. You trained all of these people how to do the speaking, how to change minds, how to talk to people at the door, you know, and now they're your apostates. Now they're your opposition.
And once you've taken everything away from them, they have no reason to shut up.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, there's nothing left to lose.
Right.
Nothing left.
Crazy.
I've got the internet is Watchtower's worst enemy, Constellation Pegasus says.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, I agree. And then Watchtower told me never shut up speaking against crooked religions. Yes, exactly. They put that, you did this, Watchtower. It is your fault that I can't stop talking about crooked religions, and you're one of them.
David Wicklund said something about repentant attitude. That's another thing that always just made my blood boil, because these people get to decide who's repentant and who's not. And oftentimes, especially for women, what repentant means is you answer all of their incredibly degrading and overly detailed repetitive questions about what position you were in and how many thrusts there were and who made noise. And I mean, ridiculous things. And then you have to cry.
Right.
And I was considered unrepentant because number one, I didn't cry. And number two, I told them it was none of their business.
Mm-hmm.
And that meant that I was, I said, well, I'm not, I feel like what I did was a mistake, probably not for the reasons that you think. And one of the elders said, well, are you going to marry this boy? Do you have an intention to marry? I was like, no, I don't want to marry him. He doesn't want to marry me. Did you not hear me say it was a mistake? What are you talking about? Get married? No.
No.
Yeah. So that meant I was unrepentant. And so, yeah. But the best part for me was right after my judicial committee, it was almost 2 weeks to the day. We got a phone call at like 2:00 in the morning. And one of the elders on my judicial committee told me that I should appeal. And I was like, why? And he said, you just should. And it turns out he was at the hospital in labor and delivery with his oldest daughter, who he had no idea was pregnant, by I believe, a member of our high school basketball team. Right?
Like, what a cliche.
Yeah. So I just got disfellowshipped. She didn't get disfellowshipped. There was like concrete evidence of everything, and nothing happened to her. And here I was, like, out I go. He said, you should appeal. And I was like, no, thanks. Like, you just disfellowship me next Christmas. So
yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Elders were told they can't read hearts until they get publishers in a 3-on-1 in the back room, and suddenly they can read hearts after 3 hours of verbal diarrhea. That's a good point. Mrs. Bailey, too. My mother is brainwashed and told my business to my non-JW family just for talking crap about me and engaging in the hate. I stopped going to meetings and told her I am done with organized religion. Good for you.
Good choice. Definitely good choice.
Mm-hmm. Good. Well,
ridiculous. The whole idea that elders could read hearts anyway.
Right. I mean, what is this window washer? How can he see through my shirt?
Right. And if he did, it would just be like pumping blood because there's nothing in there.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Crazy.
Well, we're getting close to the 2-hour mark here, and I only planned for an hour.
Wow.
Yeah, I only planned for an hour, but Jonas showed up, which was a great delight. But I know it's getting late for Bridget, so we should probably let her go and end it here because she has kids to homeschool on top of doing her work from home tomorrow. While she's also like building the kitchen of everyone's dreams, head coverings for the whole congregation, dandelion wine, maple syrup.
Dandelion wine.
I love to make things. I can't help it.
Yeah.
Dandelion wine is the best wine ever.
So you've had dandelion wine? You've had dandelion wine?
Jonas?
What?
Have you had?
Go ahead.
Have you had dandelion wine?
I make it every year.
You do?
It's a lot of work, but it's the best wine ever.
I'm trying my first batch right now.
Wow.
You have summer now?
Just the beginning. Yeah, it's spring.
Yeah, we have it snowed the whole day here.
Wow. Well, I guess I'm missing out. If I ever have a yard, I guess. Are you like plucking up the dandelions from your yard or what?
Yeah.
No, you just pick it. You pick it in the spring before the farmers spread manure.
Wow.
We don't have manure spreading.
Manure spreading. Wow, that's really cool.
And it's a really good wine, but you have to pick. It's a lot of picking. But it's a kind of a social activity. You go out and pick 20 liters or something with 2 buckets full of flour. And then you have to be sitting and peeling. But that's really good because you have some wine from last year. So you're sitting with your friends and you're picking. So it's kind of a social activity. And you can basically just sit the whole day picking this and talk. And then you make the wine and it's wonderful. It's the best.
I made my kids do all the picking.
Oh.
I can't sell it because it would be too expensive because it's so much work to do it.
Yeah.
So it's like saffron, you know. It's made of flowers.
Yeah.
Ah.
Oh.
I want to go to visit Birgitte now.
Yeah.
Could I just ask, because you have this lovely singing voice, do you enjoy some of the songs? Like from the old Pink songbook?
Not really the Witness songs because the words are, I mean, it's just too weird, but I do enjoy singing. And I when I'm not in quarantine, I do take voice lessons. I'm learning to sing opera, which is new for me anyway. But yeah, it's fun to sing the Witness songs because I kind of sometimes just enjoy making, well, all the time I enjoy making fun of them, but yeah.
Okay, that's like me. I sing them a lot because I just think it's fun and I know them by heart. But the funny thing, I was in London for the protest, and and then I used to sing at the protest, just standing with a non-aggressive sign and singing, "We're Jehovah's Witnesses." But in London, people don't understand Norwegian, and I got used to that. So in London, I would actually sing them Kingdom melodies high in Norwegian, and no one knows what I'm doing, And then I came to Oslo, and I was standing in line waiting for my bag, and I was just singing out loud in the airport, and people were looking at me, and then I realized I'm in Norway now.
You know that
I was standing in the airport, Oslo airport, singing on the top of my lungs, in Norwegian, "We're Jehovah's Witnesses."
You're going to have that stuck in my head now, Jonas.
Oh, no.
Shame on you. You know what I have had stuck in my head? And I think it's because everything feels like the apocalypse, but I've been going around the house constantly like, firm and determined, the time of the end.
I thought you were going to say, dark days are here.
Oh no, it's gonna mix in my head. We have to stop before
what the Bible tells us.
No more. So what I feel like you should do, Bridget, on top of all your millions of other projects,
yes,
in your cookbook, you need to do a Bridget Pfister XJW album where you do all of these songs that get stuck in our head, but with different words that we can replace it with.
Oh, that would be awesome if I wouldn't get sued.
Well, we'll protect you. Jonas has got you.
I think that's legal.
It's legal. It's a cover. It's a parody.
It's a parody. Well, I could do a Weird Al on it. That would be kind of fun.
There you go. Yeah.
And the Pink songbook, I think it's something with age, When
is it in the public domain now?
I think so. Why would it? The Pink songbook was good. I like that one.
I just remember the brown one.
Yeah, I remember the pink one, but they replaced it with the brown one when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Oh, what an awful color of brown, too. They could have done it.
It was really bad, especially how people would get those plastic covers for all of their hardcover books, and the cover would get really gummy underneath. Oh, and I used to peel it off and scrape the brown off, and it looked like poop. Poop coming off. Okay. All right, let's wrap up here. Bridget, thank you so much for coming on. Why don't you tell everybody who may not be familiar with you where to find you?
Yeah, so I am on YouTube as Bridget Pfister. Surprise, surprise. Bridget with no D, and Pfister is P as in Paul, F as in Frank, I-S-T-E-R. There aren't very many of us around with the PF. Everybody spells it wrong. But yeah, that's me. And I'm trying to think if there's no. That's it. I'm only on YouTube.
That's it. That's all you need from Sister Pfister. And Jonas, Goatlike personality. Where can we find you?
Yeah, YouTube. I have a YouTube channel called Goatlike Personality because I'm an apostate, but I'm also a goat farmer. So, and I actually started a new YouTube channel today, and I have 3 subscribers. It's
You did.
A new one?
yeah.
What?
I need a hillbilly channel just with my hillbilly stuff because YouTube tried to find out what is this channel about, and it's about apostasy, activism, and goats, and that means that YouTube get confused because if they push it to people that need like goats, they are not interested. If they push it to people like apostasy, they don't like goats necessarily. So I had to start a goat channel today, and it's called Goat Farming because it rhymes with Prince Charming.
You just kill me every time. Every time I just die. Okay, so I'm gonna go subscribe to Goat Farmer. Goat Farming. Goat Farming.
Okay, me too. I'm gonna go find it.
Yeah, because I need 1,000 subscribers so I can monetize it.
Yes.
I actually survived this Corona month from the YouTube money I got.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah, it's not my I just need salt, so.
I can't monetize. I can never monetize because every one of my videos would get demonetized immediately. So I don't bother.
Yeah,
not much money, but
you get demonetized quick. I guarantee this one is demonetized for sure.
Oh, yeah.
But with that said, this was a really good secret hangout. Thank you both so much for coming. The thing with the secret hangouts is it's usually it's secret because I don't announce it ahead of time. I don't plan any content. I'm just popping on and chatting with people, and then I take it down afterward. And if you want to watch the replay, it's on my Patreon channel. But this one was really, really good. So I might leave it up for a little while, at least until I put up my next video. So you have something from me and Bridget and Goatlike in the meantime to hold you over and keep you company. So thank you both once again.
2 hours.
2 hours, yeah. And I was worried, I was sweating it at 15 minutes. I don't know if I can keep this up for a whole hour. How am I going to find stuff to talk about? So thank you again so much for coming on. And I'll catch you all next time.
All right.
Everybody.
It was fun.
It was great fun.
Good night.
Bye.